guiding principles, because every action we take moving forward, we lose sight of what we love about this game. We're entering in, and rightfully entering into, a new era of college athletics with student-athlete rights, the ability to transfer through the transfer portal and through generating of earnings through NIL, all things that were much needed and need to continue to be embraced. But it's also time for college athletics to set a course and a vision for the future. And let's make sure that the core principles and guiding principles that we have reflect the values that we want it to be moving forward. Let's not hide behind what the Supreme Court struck down last year, which was amateurism. It's not amateurism anymore. But what is it moving forward? That's the question. That's what the leaders of college athletics need to decide. I know what the core principles for our program are at the University of Missouri. The guiding principles for us is for our players to chase two dreams: a life with football and a life outside of the game. And we want them to become the very best version of themselves as they play this game of football. We want to surround them with great schemes, great position coaches, great student-athlete experience. We want to make sure that they achieve the best version of themselves with this game of football. If that means a great NFL career, awesome. But we also understand that unless they're Tom Brady, college football is going to end for everybody at some time, and we want to make sure that they're prepared for life outside of the game. We want to make sure that they have a student-athlete experience, that they can be a positive contributor to society. And so for me, I guess I've heard so much and will get so many questions about NIL and conference expansion and all that stuff. That's not really the question. The question is, what do we want college football to look like moving forward? And let's start moving that direction, and then we can answer those other questions. As far as the University of Missouri, man, I'm so excited about entering year 3 at the University of Missouri. Although we've had changes in both staff and players, there is a continuity to our program. There's a foundation to the program that we have and instilled. There is this is how we do it around here. There's an understanding of what it's going to take to have and train with an elite edge with Coach Russell. There's an understanding of what we expect on the offense and defensive side of the ball. There's an understanding of what it's going to be like to excel in our academics and what are our requirements. We've added 19 transfers to our program to balance our roster from people that have left, but also to increase the competition. We signed the highest ranked recruiting class in school history for the last 2 seasons, and we looked for that increased talent to increase the style of play that we're going to have. I'll start with defense, where we return 9 players that have 6 or more starts in their career. We added transfer at every position on the defensive side of the ball to create competition and depth. In February, we hired Blake Baker to be our defensive coordinator along with Coach DJ Smith. It was really an easy decision for me. Blake is an outstanding person, a man of high character, but a great defensive mind, a guy who has designed and called defense in big-time games, and excited about what he's going to do with our defense. DJ knows the expectations that I have. He's been with me since I've been a head coach, and excited about those guys and their collaborative experience, both with Coach Peoples, Coach Pogue, and Coach Davis. We will be improved on defense. People have been asking me, what's it going to look like for us to have a successful season? Number one, we have to improve on the defensive side of the football, and we were going to. On offense, we returned 7 starters or 7 players with multiple starts. Obviously, our offensive line is the most experienced, and extremely proud of what Coach Johnson has developed there. We have got depth at that position, and we've got experience, and we will have a battle for the center position, but excited about that group leading the offense. Our wide receiver room is deep and talented. Our running backs, we added 2 transfers to really compete for the starting job. But obviously, all of y'all know that the biggest question for us revolves around the quarterback. We've got a great group of men who are competing for that job every single day, and I'm excited for them to reveal to their teammates which one's going to be the starter. We know that whoever wins that job is going to be prepared to be the starting quarterback in the SEC. Our specialty group is a strength for ours. We have an open competition at punter, but we return both long snappers, and we are very good at the place kicker position. And so from that standpoint, I'm very excited about the football team. moving forward. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
All right, thank you, Coach. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We will get a microphone. If you can stand, that would be helpful. Please state your name and affiliation. We're going to start over, Coach, in front of you, about 3/4 of the way back.
Hey, Eli. Adam Cole with the Opelika Auburn News. Kind of a two-parter for you. Your guys' trip to Auburn this year, I know, will kind of be a reunion of sorts for you, where you started your college football career. Wanted to ask you about just kind of what that time on the Plains meant for you, and then also going head-to-head with Brian Harsin, whose staff you were on, and wanted to ask you, too, about just maybe some of the things you learned from working for him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's not really going to be a time of reflection for me. We've got a job to do, and we had a great experience at Auburn. And once you're a part of Auburn, you're always a part of Auburn. Obviously, the experience to win a national championship, I thought college football was relatively easy when that happened. But some of the most formidable years I had, I think about some of the lessons that Coach Chiswick, Coach Malzahn taught me. Some of the experiences I had with great coaches. Obviously, Curtis Looper is on my staff now. Eric Link is on my staff now, both people that I met. Ryan Russell's on our staff now, guys that Brett Whiteside's on our staff now, guys that I met while I was at Auburn. And so, I think about that place, the sacrifice that really the risk that my wife and I took to jump into college football. And, I think I'll think mostly about her and the courage that she gave me in order to make that challenge. She worked a job and took care of our daughter while I was making very little money with no insurance. So it was a good experience. As far as going against Coach Harsin, obviously I know that his team's going to be tough. They're going to be well prepared. They're going to be physical. He's going to do a great job as the play caller with a variety of schemes. Defensively, I know he's got Jeff Schmedding calling the defense, so they're going to be multiple and aggressive, and so it'll be a real test for us.
Coach, we're going to go down here to our left, second row. Bob.
Hey, Eli, how you doing?
Hey, Bob.
Bob Holt, Arkansas Democrat Gazette. You obviously brought Barrett here today. I think this is his 6th year, so he's been there like twice as long as you have. I just wonder what you thought about his career and why you decided to bring him to an event like this, and what do you expect from him this season? Yeah,
Barrett has obviously been a great example. All the guys that I brought are a great example of what it means to be a Missouri Tiger and develop and play a key role, not only on the field but in the locker room. Barrett's been a guy that's dependable, hardworking. But one of the things that we challenged him in his leadership is it's not just enough for you to do all the right things. You need to bring other people with you. And I think Barrett has been able to do that, become a vocal leader where he challenges other guys to buy into the vision that we have moving forward. And so that was why it was an easy ask. And plus, he's getting married this weekend, so this is kind of like his bachelor party here.
All right,
So you
Coach.
got to laugh in the back. That's good. That's good.
Coach, we'll go ahead and right in front of me, 3 rows back. Drew.
Yes, Drew DeArmond, WZZN Radio, Huntsville, Alabama. Coach, I wanted to ask you about your program's a developmental program. You've done a great job in your 2 years developing a young man from the state of Alabama, Chris Abrams-Drain. You started him out on offense. He's became a big part of your defense you're going to build around. Talk about your expectations for him. And then your wide receiver room. You talked about the depth. How big was it for your program to get a guy like Luther Burden III, who and out-recruit in Alabama, Georgia, and in Oklahoma for a student-athlete like that?
Yeah, KAD, Chris Abrams-Drain, just a great young man, a model representation of what we have to do in recruiting. We were able to utilize relationships to get him out of Spanish Fort, a guy who played quarterback in high school. When we signed him as an athlete. We felt like, and probably could have easily kept him at wide receiver, but we felt like we had a need on the defensive side of the ball. And he's a guy who's grown. He works extremely hard. He's developed his technique. He's bought into how we do things. And I can't say enough positive things about him. Look forward to him. Last year he played nickel slot. This year he's going to play more corner. Didn't play in the spring because of injury, but has really battled himself back and is in the best shape of his life. And look forward to him really being a guy for us on the defensive side of the ball. As far as, getting a chance to sign, when I took this job, one of the things that attracts me to this job was the ability to recruit elite SEC players in our own state. And in order to do that, you got to keep your best players at home. And we were able to do that with Luther Burden. Now it's up to us to deliver and deliver with his ability to contribute in a positive way. And I think the biggest thing for me and for our staff is we've got to ignore the noise. We can't put too many unrealistic expectations on Luther. He doesn't have to be anybody but the best version of himself moving forward, and we're going to ask him to do that.
Coach, we're going to go over to my side of about 3/4 of the way back. Edgar?
Yes, sir. Edgar Thompson, the Orlando Sentinel. How would you evaluate the strength and depth of the SEC East, how it's improved even in your short time at Missouri?
Well, we have the defending national champion in our side, and so that's a plus. You got Kentucky, Florida, obviously Tennessee's a program on the rise. Coach Beamer's doing an excellent job at South Carolina. I think Coach Lee is a tremendous football coach who's got a direction for the program that he wants. And so obviously I think it's a strong league. Every time you turn on the tape, you're facing a guy that's going to play in the NFL and probably going to get drafted in the first 2 rounds. So it's hard for me to actually quantify that question, but I think it's definitely a strong league.
Coach, we're going to go right in front of me about 3/4 of the way back on the aisle. Michael?
Michael Castrande, AL.com. Just wondering, with the way offenses are more exotic these days, is it harder to trick teams with trick plays when the baseline is already so multiple?
Yeah, trick plays are all about when you call them and how you utilize them. I think that's the biggest importance with that style of offense. I think for us, they've always been something that we do. That's something that Coach Malzahn instilled in me as a play caller, and something that we like to utilize to keep a defensive off balance. I think you got to realize that just because that play doesn't work, it has an effect on the defense if they're continually having to worry about that style of play always coming.
All right, we'll go over here on our left, second row on the aisle.
Eli, Stefan Krajcik with the Clarion Ledger. I was curious how Jack Abraham's kind of developing, at Missouri, whether it be, I guess, first of all, health-wise, how has he developed? And second of all, how is he kind of developing into that competition to take the field for you guys?
Yeah, Jack's been there since the start of summer. He's benefited from the opportunity for us to have individual skill development, which was passed by the NCAA this summer. So we've been able to watch him and coach him on, timing of routes and execution of handoffs and things like that. He appears healthy, looks to be healthy, ready to go for fall camp, and excited about the competition that's going to transpire between him, Sam, Brady, and Tyler.
Coach, we'll go over here in my section, about 3/4 of the way back.
Chrissy Freud, NBC Sports Edge. Can you just elaborate upon what Abraham brings to the table from an intangibles and a tangibles perspective, and where would you like to see him improve moving forward?
Yeah, I think that's kind of hard for me to know just yet, having not spent a lot of time with him and seeing him against a defense. I do know that he's got a lot of wisdom. He's had a lot of experience playing college football. He understands the process of being in a quarterback battle. This is not new for him. I don't think a whole lot of things are taking him by surprise. And so those are the intangibles. Those are the things that when he decided to ultimately choose the University of Missouri, we knew those were known quantities coming in. We're still going to have to see, we haven't thrown interceptions yet. You can't go against a defense and individual skill development. So we'll see how those things transpire and what the mental toughness looks like, if you're not getting the reps you want or you're not getting where somebody else is excelling that day.
Coach, we're going to go over to our right-hand side.
Nick Roush from Kentucky Sports Radio. Eli, that game against Kentucky the last couple of years has really turned into a rock fight. What is it about that matchup that lends to that?
Well, first off, Coach Stoops does a tremendous job. Obviously knows exactly what the blueprint of his program is and how he wants to develop it. He's had the benefit of some really strong defensive schemes and defensive players. Their defensive line is as impressive as anybody we play against, save for Georgia. So I think that's part of it. I think offensively, last year we were able to have Tyler Beatty really came on the scene. We had the ball in our hand with an opportunity to go try to tie the game up, and didn't get it done on a fourth down right there. But I have a lot of respect for Mark and that program and what he's been able to do, and it's going to be another good game. We get them later in the year this year, which has been the first time that we've done that. I think we've played them either week 3 or last year was week 2. So it'll be interesting to see where our teams are at that point in the season.
Coach, we'll go back over here to our left side, third row.
Coach, Rob Brown, Sideline Sports, Memphis. Right in the shadows, your second greatest baseball city in America, St. Louis. 11 World Series titles. Growing up in Memphis, the Cardinal reaches far. Do you have to fight to get the Missouri fans away from Busch Stadium, or do you do a lot of work with them? Because here in Atlanta, the marriage between the Braves and the Southeastern footprint is second to none that I've ever seen. But I've been around Missouri. I go up there a lot. I think the two of them together, y'all could add on to the stadium if you got that kind of enthusiasm for the Tigers like they have for the Cardinals.
Who's the first best city?
New York, just by numbers.
Yeah, hey, I actually tried to go to the Cardinals baseball game yesterday. It got rained out, but got a tremendous love for the Cardinals and what championship baseball is. And obviously St. Louis is used to winning championships. It's interesting because there's a lot of people who align with the Cardinals who may not live in the state of Missouri or from St. Louis. So I don't necessarily know that we can just get all of those fans. But I definitely think we have to align with that championship standard and vision. I made this comment a couple of times. You can be a Cardinals fan, a Blues fan, a Chiefs fan, a Royals fan, but we all need to be Mizzou Tiger fans because we all live in the state and represent 6.5 million, and we are the window to the university of our state. And every major sporting program or organization in that state has won a championship. Whether it's the Chiefs, the Cardinals, the Orioles, or the Royals, or the Blues, they've all won a championship. It's Mizzou's time to embrace that same standard and get to that level. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen just because I say it. We got to work towards that.
Coach, we'll go on the near aisle on your side, about 3/4 of the way back.
Yeah. Thanks, Coach. Mike Griffith, AJC Dog Nation. Missouri was one of the programs to face Georgia when Darnell Washington was healthy. Of course, Brock Bowers, an All-American last year. Now they've added Eric Gilbert. You've got some experiences in different offenses. How dynamic can a 3 tight end offense be, and particularly with the personnel Georgia has?
They could probably win a national championship. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what those guys are. I've seen them on tape. They're really good. They got a great quarterback who can distribute the ball. They got a strong offensive line. They run the ball. I think Coach Monken does an excellent job getting them into the right schemes and the right plays. He's probably the perfect play caller for that group of guys. But, without knowing more than that, I'd say the ceiling is they need to win a national championship.
All right, Coach, we're going to go back over here to the right-hand side on the far aisle.
Hey, Coach. Ken Capps from Football Writers Association of America. What are your thoughts on Missouri renewing those old rivalries with Texas and Oklahoma when they join the league?
I'm all for it. I think I said up here earlier that I think the beauty of college football is the rivalries that we have. I think it's the shared traditions and pageantry of the game. And I think we got to be careful that we don't miss that or lose that in search of better TV contracts or better TV exposure. We're going to lose the basis of who we are. And so, I'm for playing consistent games. I'm for playing consistent opponents, building a consistent level of expectation that these are the teams that you need to beat. These are the teams that you need to be comparing yourself against. And when you have a constant rotation, I don't know how you're going to be able to do that. I don't know how you have a basis for comparison. So that would be my response there. I know. Yes, Mark. That means I'm for that schedule model.
We're going to stay in that same section, about 4 seats to our left.
Hey, Coach. Steve Moulton, WZZN out of Huntsville, Alabama. From a leadership standpoint, how hard is it to build leaders? Would you rather be a player-driven type of team or a coach-driven team? And since Commissioner Sankey went there, tell me about, considering your household, how many shoes are in your house?
Yeah, I have no idea how many pairs of shoes I have. I would not like to be called out on the carpet on whether or not I have the largest collection. I know I don't. I know Tony Elliott probably does. I've seen his collection before. I don't even know what the first question was. Leadership, yeah. I think it's, in the past, when you established a program, it was consistent over the years. You built it through mat drills in in winter conditioning. That's not the case anymore. You don't know who your team's going to be until May, and really, summer conditioning and fall camp are really going to when you develop your leaders. You develop the identity of your program and the identity of your team, and so I think it's a new challenge for college football. You do mat drills in February and March, and those guys transfer and new guys come in and haven't experienced it. You're going to have to go back to the drawing board to have that shared adversity, shared experience to develop the leadership that you need to win games.
Okay, we'll go back down here in front to Bob on the second row.
Eli, as far as I can tell, Sam Horn hadn't been drafted yet. How good is that for you guys? What discussions have you guys had about him in pro baseball, and just do you expect him to be on campus this fall?
Well, Sam's currently on campus right now, and just because he hasn't been drafted doesn't mean that he hasn't taken phone calls. The Major League draft is a lot different than he has than any other sports draft. They actually call you before and ask, "Are you going to be willing to take this slot?" And so Sam and his representation, his parents, have had a plan the whole time. They know what their plan is. They know what their worth is, and they're waiting to see if somebody wants to maybe meet that. But currently, right now, we expect him. He was at workouts this morning. He'll be at workouts tomorrow. But the draft's not over yet. And Sam's a really talented player that's got a great opportunity to leave his mark on Mizzou football and Mizzou baseball, and we're excited for him to come in and be the best version of himself.
Okay, we have time for a couple more questions. If you have a question, raise your hand. We will get a microphone to you. We'll come back up here to Bob.
Eli, I haven't talked to Gus, I think, since he left Auburn, but I assume you guys talk. If so, just when I see him, he looks a lot happier, a lot more relaxed. Not saying there's not pressure at UCF, but maybe it's not like Auburn. Just wondering how often you talk to Gus, and does he seem happier and, things that are less crazy for him?
Bob, I screwed it up, man. He sent me a text earlier that said, "Make sure I tell my man Bob Holt hello." So, yeah, we talk quite a bit. And he's a great mentor to me. And, I think he really enjoys his work environment. He really enjoys working with Terry and his staff. And I actually went down there and got to see him. Gus is a dreamer and a builder. He's always been that way. And he's dreaming about what he can build at UCF. I think it was just time, a new challenge. He's got a great challenge in front of him and a great vision. You're right. He's let his hair go gray, so he's obviously let it. Doesn't let the stress go to him too much anymore. I guess Christy doesn't care if it's gray.
All right. Any other questions? Please raise your hand. We'll take one back up here with Drew up here on the third row.
Drew DeArmond, WZZN Radio, Huntsville, Alabama. Coach, the transfer portal's become so prevalent. You guys added some big pieces offensively, especially you talked about the two running backs. When you're going into the portal and you're gauging whether a guy's going to be part of your program, what's the decision-making process you and your staff go through to decide to add someone?
Yeah, so for us at the University of Missouri, it's all about the right fit, focused, intangibles, talented, and tough. We have a specific criteria of who we want to be. Do we have a need for that position? can they compete? If they were at the previous school, were they a starter? What was their role? What is their reasoning for leaving? And are they going to be happy with the competition and the role that they have at the University of Missouri? And so I think all of those things come together, and you got to ask yourself some hard questions. But at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, do they fit what you're trying to build? We had a lot of guys come, we had a lot of guys visit, and ultimately it's about finding the right fit. I feel really good about the fit of our football team right now. There's a cohesiveness to our team. There's a brotherhood to our team that is exactly where it needs to be in this point of the season in July. And so I look forward to the challenges that we have, and there are many. 5 true road games at really difficult places to play, at K-State, at Auburn, at Florida, at South Carolina, at Tennessee. That's a heck of a challenge. But we're working really hard. We're training with an elite edge to be able to meet that challenge head on.
Coach, thank you for your time this afternoon.
MIZ.